And that was really the first dual, two of one species of, well, of broadbill. We get lots of dual returnees of rufous and blackjack, but first time we ever had two of one of the rarer species show up in the same yard for a second year. Broadbill, which is one of our other favorite birds, is only returned one time. We have one record of one coming back to a house, and this was just, the returning year was this past winter. But two of the earliest broadbills that were ever abandoned in Louisiana were caught elsewhere. And we'll get to that in a second, just remember that. About 11% of our abandoned birds come back in one or more subsequent years. We never know in any given year what the percentage of returnees we're going to have is. In some years we'll have a lot of returnees because we've had a couple of years before that a lot of newly banded birds. Then as we get to the point where a lot of those newly banded birds are dying off, we get a year where returnees almost outnumber newly banded, and then we'll have another boom year of banding new birds. But it averages out to, over the 40-year project, it's been about 11%, which is a good recapture rate for birds that are all migratory. A lot of people in banding projects would get higher rates than this for resident birds that come, or stay around the area for all year, like cardinals or mockingbirds or whatever. But this is actually a pretty good percentage for migrants. What we've learned is that the birds move around during the wintertime a lot. We've documented them moving 60 to 70 miles and back. We had a buckbelly, for example, in one house in Baton Rouge that was banded. About 8 or 10 days later, it was photographed, and we were able to document the band number from the photographs because the guy who got the pictures is our bander over in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is about 60 miles away. And he's also a superb photographer, so he sat there and took, I think, somewhere around 250 pictures of the bird's legs at the feeder. And eventually we were able to get all of the numbers off of the band and confirm that it was, in fact, the bird we thought it was. It was color marked, and we knew we'd only use that color mark once that season. So we were pretty darn sure what it was to start with. But that confirmed it. This was in early to mid-October. In December, Nancy happened to run into the host of the original site at a coffee shop, and she says, "I'm sorry that your Buffy didn't stick around for after we banded it." She says, "Well, it's still there." She says, "Well, no, it's a Lafayette." She says, "No, it's back. It's in my yard. I see it every day now. It's got a color mark on it." The bird had left on 60 miles away, stayed there about a week or so, came back. And we went out, and we wanted to make absolutely sure, so we went out, caught the bird a second time that season. Sure enough, the band on it. So we know for a fact that the birds can move great distances over the course of a single winter. It's not uncommon to have them move 5 to 10 miles. I've had several in my yard banded in my yard that were found elsewhere in Baton Rouge, for example. I've had one or two that were banded elsewhere in Baton Rouge turn up the same winter in my yard. We look at it as one great big pool, and they're all jostling for position somewhere. Everybody wants their own little turf. So if you've got a big area like Baton Rouge where there are probably 70 or 80 people running winter feeders, there are other places that they can figure out to go. And they know where all of these feeders are, anywhere within the range of where they're going to be spending the winter. So if they get pushed out of one place, they go and try to stake out a spot somewhere else. We also have learned that the birds can move really fast during migration, up to 100 miles a day. We banded a Buffy in Baton Rouge some years ago, and the homeowner last saw it on about 10 o'clock on a Friday morning. And she called Nancy that week and said, when is this puppy going to leave? He's running off all my ruby throws. Because the ruby throws were back already for the breeding season. She says, well, it'll be gone soon. She saw it at 10 o'clock on a Friday. Monday afternoon, it was caught in Victoria, Texas, 380 miles away. So between, from Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning is 3 days, 3.5 days, total 380 miles. That's a bird that's looking. They move around locally between yards constantly. I say constantly. The guy that lived 4 blocks from me, it was a good friend of mine, and we talk almost every day about what we were seeing. And he would call me in the morning and say, the ruby throat that we banded, it's the pink mark one that is back and forth, is in my yard this morning. I called him back at 11 o'clock. Well, she's in my yard now. He called me back at 2 o'clock. Well, she's over here again. So they'll go a few blocks all day long. We've had people who come tell us when we show up to Banded Yard that, oh, it's sitting right there. It never leaves that tree. Well, we were at one house, Nancy said, the woman told us, that's his spot. He's there, right there. You see him? He never leaves right there. And Nancy says, well, it's got a color mark on him, and we just put it on at so-and-so's house about, 3/4 of a mile away, so obviously he doesn't spend all of his time in that one tree. And sure enough, he came down, you can see the color mark on it. So we've learned that the birds that we get come from all the way across their breeding and migratory ranges. This map will give you an idea. All the spots that are green are ones where we have caught a bird banded in that state, and someone in that state has caught one that we banded. The ones that are kind of bluish color, Arizona and so forth, those are places that have caught birds that we banded in the winter in Louisiana. And the pink states up in the corner are places that have recaught ruby throats that we have banded either in migration or late in migration, early winter time, and have grown. We don't have, unfortunately, I couldn't find a decent complete North American map, but we also have a number of points of contact with British Columbia, Manitoba, so we know that the birds are coming, goodly distances there. The Washington State is one of the ones there is particularly important to me because we banded a bird in the winter in Louisiana, not too far from where I live, that was caught on the breeding grounds, in late May, which is peak of rufous breeding season in Washington State, and not terribly far from there, same people banded a rufous during their breeding season that we caught not far from my house in the winter. So we know at least there's some connection with that part of Washington with Louisiana, but we don't know if that's something that's a population there that's where a lot of the rufous are coming from, or if those are just isolated examples. It's just odd that we would have two that coming from the same basic breeding population to the same basic wintering population. Now remember I mentioned earlier about broadbill, how we'd only had one returnee rather, out of broadbill in Louisiana, which is true, but the reason we have Colorado in this kind of bluish-green color here is that the first and third records of broadbill for Colorado, which is a desert southwestern species you don't see much out of southern Arizona, were birds that were banded in the winter in Louisiana. How they ended up in Colorado in subsequent years, we have no idea. But it was really weird that their first and third ones of all time were ones that we handled out of Louisiana. Only thing we can conjecture is that if the bird was disposed enough to wander all the way to Louisiana, when it normally would be found in Mexico and southern Arizona, try a different direction this year. honey, we've been to Louisiana. Let's try the mountains instead. As I mentioned, we've had one Puget Sound bird that's the Seattle area recaptured on the breeding grounds of ours, plus 2 of ours recaptured in British Columbia, and we have caught the Puget Sound breeding bird and also one in British Columbia. So we know that the birds are moving from there, which is where the obviously breeding. Other banders in the southeast have also had wintering birds, the winter rufous that have been banned in British Columbia or recovered in British Columbia and in Alaska. The Alaska one still holds a record for distance. I think it was over 3,000 miles between the spot where it was caught in the breeding grounds and the spot where it was originally banned in like Tallahassee, Florida. So those birds, you know, if they can move that far and find the same places year after year, I'm just in awe. These are the places where we've had rufous that we banded, recaptured. These are places where, if I write up.
Can you wrap it up in like a minute?
Okay, all right.
We won't have time for just a few questions.
Okay. We've had, these are places where we've caught birds that were banned elsewhere. Black-chip, we have a lot fewer records, but we've caught from several other states. We've caught birds that were banned in these states. You're getting an idea of the diversity of places that we collect, catch birds and catch our birds. I'll skip through I'll only mention in terms of ruby-throats. We don't think the ruby-throats we get in the winter are connected with our breeding birds at all, because we have banded over almost 7,000 breeding ruby-throats, and none of them have ever been caught in the winter. And we've banded over 1,000 ruby-throats in the winter, and none of them have ever been caught in the breeding season. They also seem to be immature birds that are developmentally behind our other birds. We think they're late hatches that just couldn't make it any further than Louisiana. Buff-bellied obviously is only going to be connected to Texas, except for one that they caught it was caught banded in Georgia that we caught, Calliope, broadbill, and then there are 5 species of really rare hummingbirds that we've had in Louisiana. We've had 2 records of blue throat, 1 was banded. We've had 3 records of Mexican violet hair. Charlie Lyons, who's a Marnite speaker, took this picture of the last one that we had. We weren't able to band any of the 3 of them. And I found this bird online, so I feel like it's almost like getting this, actually finding it in the wild, except not really. We've had 1 record of rivoles. We've had 1 record of green-breasted mango. And we've had 1 record now of lucerne this past winter. We've learned finally also that birds can live a fairly long time. We know that buff-bellied can live 9 years, rufous 7, ruby-throats, black-chips 6. The record of broadtail wasn't ours, but it lived for, we know, 12 years. And we know that because of the stable population, of the birds living this long, there's probably a really, really high mortality rate. And I would like to thank for all of this the banding team here at the top, all of these people who are banders in other states who have shared us a lot of their banding data, so we can, especially recaptures of our birds, LSU Museum, folks who let me use all of these beautiful pictures, and Nancy for letting me help her with all of this, because I've had a time of my life. And that was it. I was told that I could take some questions, so I was right.
Do you think that in the past, before all the banding efforts, there were still a lot of hummingbirds, they were just going unreported and unseen?
We think that there were always some. We don't know for sure because until people started leaving figures up, a lot of times when we used to get, when I was a kid, there were hard freezes every winter, and everything that bloomed was burned back. We don't get those anymore, except maybe one winter out of 5 we'll get a really hard freeze. There probably were birds that were coming here and dying in the wintertime, but we don't know for sure. We know that obviously back as far as the 30s, that some roofers were already pioneering coming to Louisiana. We know that by the 70s they were coming regularly, but beyond that, we can't be sure how many there were. We just know that because people are out there looking and keeping the feeders up, we're starting to see a lot more. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you switched from 4 to 1 to 3 to 1. Do you do that year round or just during the winter?
It depends. I do 3 to 1 for most of the year, except in the hottest months of the summer. Where I live in Baton Rouge, I'm in an urban area, so there's no breeding population near my house. There's just no good habitat. So I don't see any ruby throats past, third week of April or so. All the migrants have gone through, and I won't see them again until August. In August, September, I'm putting up 4 to 1, sometimes even 5 to 1, if it's hot as like it's been here, because they don't, the liquid spoils so much faster. But it's, again, they're feeding, one of the biggest plants that the southbound ruby throats feed on coming through the southern United States is trumpet creeper, which grows wild everywhere. Trumpet creeper, the sugar content is like 32%. So, they're obviously accustomed to high content sugar plants. And the more that they can get in each feeding, the less time they have to spend feeding, and they can pack on more fat and keep going. But because also where I live, there's not a whole lot of natural water sources. They don't have as many places to drink water as well, so I don't want to put anything out that's too concentrated. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think it's being prudent to use a lighter solution during the hot months, and then you can let it go a little bit longer out. If I were putting out 3 to 1 in this hot weather, I'd be changing the feeder every day because it spoils that quickly. 4 to 1, 5 to 1, I could go 2 days maybe. Okay. Did I reach you, Charlie?
I don't remember the species, but I remember a story about a bird that was abandoned in the Mountain West and captured in western Mexico, and the same winter he captured somewhere in the southeast. Does that ring a bell?
I don't know for sure. I want to say that was one of them. It was probably one of, if it's the one I'm thinking about, it was probably caught in Alabama. There's a team of banders now across the southern Gulf Coast states, and one of them has had a couple, but we've caught several of his birds, he's caught several of ours. I would pretty sure, if I remember right, that was the case. It was banded somewhere, it was like a black chin or something that was banded in the mouth, went to Mexico, and then ended up coming back to the south. And we really don't know. Sometimes the birds may be going to Mexico, which is where most of our migratory U.S. hummingbirds winter, and then not being able to establish a foothold there, perhaps, and coming up our way. There's a little bit of evidence for that. There's evidence that they're coming straight here. There's some evidence that they are going east first and then coming south. They could be doing all of the above. That's why every time we learn something, it gives us 2 more questions we need to answer. So, Charlie, you have something?
I just got one thing I wanted to mention. That's partially with regard to Dan's question, is that in terms of habitat's obviously important. We worry about declining habitats that are so prevalent. But hummingbird gardens, hummingbird habitats include far more than just the feeders we discussed. When you look at we look at the belt of Louisiana, it's south of I-10. That's although there are birds and jackdaws on I-10, but there is almost a
Absolutely, and say, as you mentioned, we're very lucky that in a lot of winters, what we have blooming does not get burned back completely when we have cold snaps. And so some of the more hardy plants will keep right on blooming, and the birds can just keep right on using them. Sometimes we'll see if everything does get burned back, we'll see a spike in interest in the feeders. But the plants are sometimes what drew them there in the first place.
One more question and then I'll hop up there.
Any other questions? Yes, yes, ma'am.
Can you say a little bit about this color coding method?
The color marks on them?
Yeah, is it on the
Exactly. There's no specific code to them. It's a temporary mark. What we use is the water-soluble version of liquid paper, which does not have any solids in it, so it's safe. They're tinted to different, we have permits for using up to 7 different colors, and we use them basically so that you can tell this black chip from that black chip. Or if we do one in somebody's yard, we're going to be banning somewhere nearby, we'll use the same colors in both yards. And that way, there'll be some overlap between banding sites of colors that we use, but we try to fix it so that in a particular yard, the homeowner can tell their birds apart. And they can also then, if they see one, if they think they've got 3 birds, we show them we ban 3 birds, or what's more likely to happen, we ban 5 birds, because they didn't realize they had 5 birds, they just thought it was 3. When a 6th one or a 7th one or whatever shows up, they can say, hey, this is not one of the ones we've already seen. And we've had one year, one of the slow years, I thought I had a female rufous coming to one of my feeders. And I looked at her, I had a pretty good idea of what she looked like. Nancy came, caught a bird in the feeder, looked at it in the hand and said, this is not the one I've been seeing. So we banded it, color marked, and let it go. That's all we saw that day. Next day, the bird I seen before, the feeder, called Nancy. She came back a few days later, caught the female rufous, looked at it and said, this isn't the same bird I've been seeing before either. Color marked it, let it go. The other one, color marked, we came in for a few minutes and left. That's all we saw. Nancy finally left. 10 minutes after she left, the bird was back. While that bird was sitting on the feeder, a 4th unmarked female rufous showed up inside the feeder. They had been coming and going, and the way my house is set up, I can't see the birds really closely at the feeder from the inside. I can see it's a rufous, it's a female, but I won't necessarily, be able to tell that they're moving, changing positions. I just happen to see that they're close to the window. So I had 4, and I just didn't realize that there were 4 until we started marking.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
These people realize they can go to Cook's Lake and watch the hummingbird banding. Do they know that?
I don't know for sure. Do you want to mention that?
I was just looking,